This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with Keith Eister. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show. No James Grande today. He's out buying a brand new car. You know, good for him out there, signing the paperwork, you know, upgrading the vehicle, all those DFS wins he's putting to good use here. You know, Keith?
Yeah, man, good for him. He did not tell me exactly why he needed the pinch hitter, but here I am, always happy to do it for him.
Yeah, car was ready to pick up at the dealership. He had to go sign the paperwork, you know, get all that in order. So you're here. You did the playbook today, so really nobody better to be on the show. Nobody knows this 3-game slate more in depth than you. Atlanta, Washington, Orlando, Philly, and then you take a long, nice nap and you wake up and watch Clippers, Lakers at 11 p.m. Eastern time here for everybody. Kind of a fun slate overall. Injury news wise, not like a ton going on. We're still waiting on, I think, what the Keyshawn George is probably the biggest one of the day here. So how are you feeling about things, man?
Yeah, I feel really good. It's actually a pretty interesting slate as far as 3-gamers go. Like you mentioned the time gap there, which we don't get on DraftKings hardly ever anymore. Right. But since there's only 3 games on the entire NBA schedule today, they gave us all 3. So that was nice of them. The Sixers dropped big news earlier today. Looked like Joel Embiid was going to make it back, and all of a sudden he's out, and Paul George goes from probable to out. So that opened up some value. Now we can actually spend up for some of these studs. So I think it's a pretty good mix here for only having 3 games. It could be worse for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll get into, obviously, we go position by position. So we do appreciate you all tuning in. If you want to hit that like, share, and subscribe buttons, free way to support the work we do here over at Fantasy Alarm. We try to get 100 likes per show, so we'll kind of keep mentioning that throughout the day there. I do appreciate you guys all tuning in. Cujo popping in. Dez always here. Justin with the family. Our other Justin, I see through you, always in the Discord chatting us up. That guy's taking down tournaments all the time. Kingston, what's up? Let's see. Nate's in here. 3-game slate. Got to get different. That's true. We'll talk some ownership. DePrince in the chat. You said good morning. Well, at least Keith's in the Central Time Zone, so you know, it could be morning-ish there, depending where you go. Zach says he hates the value, and Steve appreciates our work. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, if you have questions or comments, we'll throw them in the chat. We'll throw them on screen. We'll get things going here for all of you. Your top overall price pay-ups on the slate: Luka Doncic, Tyrese Maxey, up over $10,000. Both of them are point guards. You mentioned value that's on this slate here. On a 3-game slate, do you kind of have to pay up for one of these top studs here? Technically, Luka, Maxey, and Harden have all recently gone Boku for fantasy points here. How are you prioritizing your top spends today?
I think you want to spend up, but I don't think you necessarily have to do it at point guard.
Okay.
Luka's obviously fantastic, but he's got LeBron back now. He's playing alongside Austin Reeves, who's doing a ton for that team as well. I said this in the playbook. I don't think that Luka's like raw ceiling is impacted by LeBron James. Luka's still going to have his 40 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 assist games. Those are still going to come. Yeah. They're just going to come far less often when LeBron James is on the floor with him. So like I said, you can still pay up for Luka. I will never tell you not to do that.
Right.
He's not going to find that ceiling as frequently. So he's not a priority for me today. Maxey became more of a priority with Joel Embiid and Paul George getting ruled out, but he's essentially priced for that. That's how he's been playing all season, is without those 2 guys, basically. So he's fully priced in. He doesn't even get that big of a bump without Embiid.
Yeah.
So
Edge comes out too, right? But like in Oubre, right? But still, he's had a ridiculous usage rate all season long. Exactly. He's been ridiculous production. There's really nobody that could come off the floor that would impact him more than he's already basically doing. So
how much more than 35% usage can a guy actually get? Like, at that point, your teammates are just going to hate you if you're shooting half of the time that you're taking the ball off the floor. So not a huge bump for Maxey, but definitely a bump. And it does raise the ceiling as well. Like, I think you're more likely to see 40 actual from him tonight than you would be if Joel Embiid was on the floor. There's no doubt about that. But neither of them really priorities, and it's because of the guy that we'll talk about when we get to the forward positions, who's in a fantastic matchup. But at point guard, I don't think you have to go up to either one of these guys. And then Harden, has Kawhi back as well. So same situation with Luka, still plenty of ceiling for him. Would be no surprise to anyone if he put 60 fantasy points up today.
Yeah.
Just don't think it's as likely to happen with Kawhi on the floor with him.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And again, he did obviously have 75 a couple of games ago, but now again, you mentioned they have Kawhi back in that matchup at 98. If you're working your way down here, again, I didn't really love Daniels as much. Grande was a little bit more in on him than I was. I did like Jalen Suggs at $6,500. And then it was kind of suspending down on some value. I thought going down to McCain was actually kind of an interesting play today. Again, Edgecombe's out, George is out, Embiid is out. McCain played a season high in minutes the other day, looking for some value plays at $3,800. So those are kind of the two that I went with. I went with Suggs and McCain. If you weren't spending all the way up, how are you feeling?
Those are the two I have written up in the playbook as well. I'll throw Quentin Grimes into that, but we can talk about him at shooting guard since it's a weaker position and he has that eligibility. Suggs is the one that really stands out. His minutes restriction appears to be gone. He's played 31 minutes in 2 of the last 3. He played 26 minutes and absolutely smashed in a blowout of the Clippers. Did not play the fourth quarter in that game, so was tracking for 30 minutes again in that spot. Suggs at 30 minutes with no Paolo Banchero. 6,500 is probably too cheap for that role. So I'm with you. It's Suggs over Daniels. I love the matchup for Daniels.
Yeah.
You worry about the blowout a little bit. Jalen Johnson's the guy we're going to talk about for sure. Nickeil Alexander-Walker's been shooting the ball a ton. Yeah. We'll talk about him too, but not as much ceiling for Daniels. Fine floor play. He can find a ceiling. I like Suggs more. I think he has more upside. And then when we're talking real, like the true value guys, McCain is the guy that stands out. You mentioned a season high in minutes, 25 for him. With no Edgecombe, they kind of need that secondary scorer. Like McCain can be that guy. Before his injury, we saw him do that a ton. So I like that. I don't know if you're going to get more than 25 minutes, but at 3,800, if he turns in 22% usage, I don't think you need much more than that.
If he just shoots the way he shot in that game, his point projection prop today is 13.5. So I mean, they're kind of projecting him sort of in that same scoring range. If he does give you any other, peripheral stats, it doesn't take much to pay off $3,800 at 5x. You're looking at quick math. It's like 19 fantasy points there. So 18 fantasy points in that range. So very doable. He was an early favorite at Rookie of the Year last year until he got hurt. Playing with Maxey and these guys. So he's certainly familiar and capable. And the shot's starting to come along here. So I think at $3,800, a pretty interesting play. Ownership wise, he's getting around 25%. Suggs is 38% right now. And obviously these things will change as we get closer to roster lock. If any other additional news breaks here, like if Keyshawn George gets ruled out, we might see Bob Carrington get a spike or something like that. But anything else at point guard you want to talk about?
Bub was another one I wanted to mention because just if you're looking for super cheap, he's going to play 20 minutes probably. If George gets ruled out, now he might be back in that 30-minute role. So that becomes more interesting to me if George is out. I have almost no interest there if George plays. The only other name would be CJ McCollum, and just because we've seen this ceiling stuff from him out of nowhere at times, for the most part, he seems to be settled into that role as kind of the veteran on the team of young stars that they want to see what the young guys can do. And he's comfortable in that role. But when CJ is asked to go fill it up, he can absolutely still do it. He's a bucket.
42 and 43 minute OT game. So
we're talking about a 3-game slate. If you're looking for a way to get like Suggs is going to be massive chalk. If you're looking for a way to get away from that and need a pivot at point guard, I don't hate CJ.
Yeah, we talk a lot of times about just sometimes looking for raw points, a guy that you just know can go ahead and get you, on this slate, you won't need everybody to go 8x in order to win a tournament, right? If he just gives you 28 fantasy points today, you're going to be more than okay at $5,900. He's under 20% today ownership, so that even gives you a little bit leverage on the field if anybody else kind of falls by the wayside. Your boy, Mari Don Yeezy, always popping in whenever you're on the show. It says keep the goat. Greg popping in saying hello as well. We'll talk about Edwards here in a second, Anthony. I know you're a Philly guy, so we'll talk about your Sixers. Not a problem there. All right, shooting guard, Austin Reeves, $8,100. Desmond Bain, $77. Keyshawn, $66. NAW and Grimes round out that 6K tier. Reeves has had no problem playing with LeBron and Luka there. $8,100, is that a spot you're looking to go to, or do you like some of the other options below?
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't think that Reeves can really pay off at 8,100, but we just saw it last game. He always seems to find a way, and it was with 10 rebounds last time. Yeah. I do think that it's going to be more of a scoring, rebounding role now than the playmaking, distributing role that he was. Like, I feel like that's the role.
Assists, so like,
yes, yep, exactly. But there's like Reeves can do it in a number of ways. So it feels like an overprice on a 3-game slate. He's very much in play. He's not one of my favorite options. I think I'd rather spend down a little bit more to the mid range, but sure. He's absolutely playable. Bane has found some shooting consistency, which is what we've been asking for all season long, basically. Without Paolo Banchero, he's taking a few more shots and he's shooting the ball better than he did earlier in the season. He always adds a couple assists and a couple rebounds as well. So fine floor there.
I need to see more threes out of him. How does he only take 2 threes? Desmond Bane's there to spread the floor and shoot threes for Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question.
You mentioned earlier, obviously, Grimes in that range. You have George, NAW, and Grimes in 6K tier. Grimes is getting the ownership at this position, at least for now. NAW, he and NAW on the recent update are basically tied around 27%. You have George around 25%. So it's kind of like flip a coin between the three today.
Yeah, and I think all three of them have ceiling and can easily pay off this price tag. So I wouldn't, if you have a favorite amongst the three, I wouldn't try to talk anybody off of them. George has been back up over 40 fantasy points seemingly every night here again recently.
I want to get your thoughts on this quickly. His points, rebounds, assist prop today is at 24.5, a number that he's cleared in points, more often not this season. Does that give you any pause at all in the Atlanta matchup that it would be this low? Or sometimes we think Vegas is smart and maybe they're on to something here.
I mean, I tell you what, I wrote up his PRA for that Toronto matchup, and it was like 26.5, so too higher than it is today. Yeah. And he went way under the number. So there's plenty of risk there for Keyshawn George as well. It feels like a smash to me. It's a good matchup against Atlanta. It's a fast-paced game. It feels like an easy over for me, but there is risk.
Listen, I wrote it up too. I'm just like, it's too low. It feels suspicious, but we're going to dive into it anyway. So, but yeah, they're all great. You mentioned NAW, the scoring, the usage rate on him is up. The points have been great. We kind of thought of him as more of like a defensive guy when he came over, the way they utilized him in Minnesota, and they just kind of unleashed him. They said, go be Trey, go score the basketball for us here. We need it. And here he is.
He is actually my favorite. If I was picking amongst the three, NAW is my favorite of the three, and that feels wild to say, but I was shocked when I saw that usage rate today. Higher usage rate than Kristaps Porzingis, only behind Jalen Johnson on the entire team since Trae Young has been injured. Mm-hmm. It's an incredible role. He's playing massive minutes. He's shooting a ton. He's got that one. He had 38 actual one game or something like that.
Yeah, where he had 38 actual against San Antonio.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a strong role. Good shooting role, lots of minutes.
Doug bringing up the fact that this is a cup game today. So we have a cup series on Tuesday today. So we've talked a lot in some of these cup games, extended minutes sometimes for these guys. And obviously LeBron cares about the cup. So maybe LeBron Deke says he's heard Vegas is pretty smart. You have many hotels and casinos to prove that correct there as well. All right, once we get past that trio, where do you look to go next?
It gets pretty ugly at the position beyond that. I can't even say that I recommend anything. Kobe Sanders, to throw out another name, has kind of seen that role reduced since Kawhi came back, though. Not a huge per minute producer anyway, so that's tough. Anthony Black is fine, but again, just not quite enough usage there for me. Has a better ceiling, I would say, with Paolo off the floor, but it doesn't seem like he wants to shoot all that much. He will do it if he's forced to, but fine price tag on him. He's going to play minutes.
Sure.
I don't even really have
the only one I would have is if George sits. Corey Kispert did play 37 minutes when Middleton sat the other day. There's a chance that if Keyshawn George sits, they go Kispert into the starting lineup. Just as like a total half the start to play if he's off the bench. He's no good for me there. Krejci's been someone that's been playing more minutes. He had 21 points and then he had 1 point. So you figure out the right day. He took 1 field goal attempt in that game, so we know what the floor looks like in that spot. But again, the minutes actually have been pretty consistent for him there, whether Zinger's been in or out. So, and you can always just play McCain here as well if you needed to. He has the dual positional eligibility there for everybody. Going on over to small forward, you have Wagner at 87, Leonard at 84, and then we drop down below 6K. Any interest in either Kawhi or Franz today?
Not a ton. I think there are better spots to go. I'd rather go up for a point guard. I'd rather go up for Jalen Johnson for sure. Franz just hasn't done it as much as we kind of thought he might. I mean, when Paolo was out last year, it seems like he was smashing every other game. Now it's kind of he's done it basically twice since Paolo's been out. So not the slate that I want to spend up for Franz. I don't think. Kawhi's still on a minutes restriction more than likely. Probably not getting more than 30 minutes out of him. Not that he can't do it in that amount of time, but you'd prefer to have a few more minutes there.
Yeah, the Franz is getting about 19%, and then it's literally just value. Justin Edwards, as Anthony had mentioned, he's getting 50% right now that I'm looking at. A guy that we've seen have a very low floor. He does fill out the stat sheet. He's giving you some defensive stats. Never really a big offensive player. That kind of worries me a little bit at times. He is $4,400 and they are missing a ton of pieces, but on this kind of slate, are you buying? Actually, we just got a little bit of an updated drop down to around 40%, but still, I mean, are you buying into a 40% Justin Edwards tonight?
Unfortunately, yes, because I'm pretty confident that he's going to play 30 minutes, and I can't say that about most of the other Sixers value. He's the one I'm most confident will be on the floor. Like you said, he doesn't do a ton when he's out there, so you need those 34, 36 minutes, which I think is very much in his range of outcomes today. He can do a little bit of everything, but not enough of anything is basically the type of player that he is. But if he does just a little bit in each category, he can eke his way to 25 points and be pretty useful at that salary.
Yeah, he had this game versus Boston. He went 5 of 6 from 3. It was like the best shooting night of his life. If he gets hot from 3, maybe. I mean, like Trill says here, Paul George is out, so there definitely are going to be options for him to play those minutes. And yeah, maybe he just fills it up at $4,400 to get you the 22 fantasy points that you need there. Justin here says Cam Whitmore. This is definitely a Cam Whitmore program. We wish he played more minutes. Doesn't. The little spurt he had when guys were out, he was fantastic for us. But I think if there's no George, was this George Keyshawn George out or just a Paul George out? What do we have?
Ooh.
I didn't get I don't think I saw an update on Keyshawn being out yet. Let's see.
I think that was a Paul George.
It is. Just now, Keyshawn George ruled out. Okay. So that plays into the Whitmore play.
Even before the Keyshawn out, this is why I see through you up at the top of tournaments, because Cam Whitmore is going to play half of the minutes of Edwards today, but he could absolutely outscore him in 15 minutes compared to Edwards 30 minutes. Like that's the type of player that Whitmore is. He's in there. He's gonna chuck it while he's in there. He can add some steals, some blocks, some rebounds. He has a much higher ceiling, even in 16 to 18 minutes, than Edwards does at 34 minutes. So when you take the ownership into account, like this is the tournament play. Absolutely love that, and I like it even more. He's probably going to run into a little bit more ownership now.
I was going to say he's about to get steamed for sure.
Yeah, and he's still not going to play more than 20 minutes probably, but it's probably going to be closer to 20 than it is the 14 that we might have seen before.
Yeah, I'm pulling up some numbers here just to kind of see what Whitmore looks without George and Johnson on the floor this year. And see where the usage rate sits for him. I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty good anyways, just kind of given the player that he's at. And yeah, I mean, at $3,800, I would imagine he goes up and takes over what we're going to get. Yeah, I guess the other one they could start with is Champagny. We've seen them go that route a lot this year as well. He's $3,200 down here. with George out, one of those two guys probably end up playing.
I think Champagne's the guy that's going to start, and he is the Justin Edwards to the Cam Whitmore on the Sixers.
Yeah.
When you're looking for ceiling, I think you want Whitmore. When you're looking for safety and the guy that's probably going to play closer to 30 minutes, it's Champagne.
Yeah, 25% usage rate for Whitmore without George and Trey Johnson on the floor this year. So that's what you're looking for there. McCollum also eats with those two, over 30% usage rate, 1.4 fantasy points per minute. So George coming out the floor definitely helps impact a lot of other plays here.
Yeah, you're going back to your Kispert call. I think that's definitely in play as well. Koulibaly, I have a lot more interest in now. Another low usage guy, but on this slate could find a way. Like you're comparing that to like a Tristan da Silva type of play.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows which one's going to score 28 fantasy points compared to 23 fantasy points, and that could be the difference in a tournament. Those five fantasy points if you get that right. So I definitely lean into ownership on those type of plays.
Are you chasing the Jet Howard 30 bomb?
No thanks.
Yeah,
a lot of that was garbage time. He played
it was the end of the game versus
minutes.
Yeah, just hilarious that I had to take a double take when I saw the numbers that he put there. Does it help Bub? Again, I mean, you take Keyshawn off the floor. Obviously, he touches the ball a ton. He does a lot of things, assist and rebound wise. So the ball will flow through him a little more. Does it help Bub Carrington though? Not really from any sort of statistical standpoint. From what we look for, 0.6 fantasy points per minute, pretty bad. 16% usage rate, not great. But that's again, it's difficult to really track. CJ McCollum gets almost a 9% usage bump with George off the floor, so that's your main beneficiary.
It could help Bub from a minutes perspective. Like there's an outside chance he could start, and it's not Champagne. So keep an eye on the Wizards lineup. If Bub starts, you have to be thinking a 26, 28 minute projection with upside for 30. Like I wouldn't hate him at that level.
It's the first game that pops off today too, so we'll have that starting lineup for Washington before rosters lock here. You've highlighted a bunch of times you want to play Jalen Johnson today. Taking Keyshawn off the floor actually kind of helps that. Keyshawn does give you some defensive stats there. So, if they go in a different direction, defensively, Jalen Johnson's just going to have an even better matchup.
I mean, yeah, it's already the best matchup in fantasy basketball. The Wizards play at the fourth fastest pace. They give up the most points, and they're like second in rebounds and assists as well. Like it's a track meet, and they play zero defense whatsoever. Jalen Johnson should be able to do whatever he wants against this team today. And we've seen sometimes he wants to score 90 fantasy points. So like that's what I'm chasing today. There's not a better spot to do it. You have to be a little concerned about the blowout, especially without Keyshawn George and what he's been providing for that team. But you can't worry about that on a 3-game slate. You load him up and you hope you hit the ceiling.
Yep. In a game where we saw Porzingis go for a ceiling against the Pelicans, he still came out of that with 50 fantasy points because he's flirting with a triple-double every single time he steps on the floor. So not really going to fight with you there. You have LeBron at 9K, and then again, it really drops down into some ugly value at power forward. There's not really a lot else there. 9K LeBron, any thoughts here?
Yeah, we've seen the minutes already, 34 in just his second game this season. So almost no restrictions, and I would say an unrestricted LeBron can go for 60 fantasy points at any time. So I won't tell you not to play him. I'm personally going to play Jalen Johnson, even though he's more popular. I just like the matchup a whole lot more for him. He doesn't have Luka Doncic on his team. I know Jalen's the guy. Maybe LeBron's the guy one out of every 5 games. So It's clearly Jalen over LeBron for me.
And it just keeps becoming more and more value to get to Jalen Johnson today. So it just becomes that much easier. Any thoughts, John Collins, Tristan da Silva?
No thanks on Collins with Kawhi back. Da Silva, I think, he's going to play the minutes again. He played 23 in that last game, but that was the blowout where Jet Howard basically closed and smashed.
Mm-hmm.
I think Da Silva's going to be back up in that 28 to 30 minute range that he's been in. Not a huge producer, but again, when we're comparing him to guys like Justin Edwards and some of the other Philly stuff we'll talk about next, I think he's in play. It's not comfortable, but we might as well go ahead and talk about the Philly guys. It's depending on the starting lineup. I think it's going to be Barlow over Watford, but we'll have to see what that lineup looks like. They've done both this season. It's been Barlow more recently. I mean, Watford is a guy we've seen play 30 minutes and score 18 fantasy points, and we've seen play 30 minutes and score 45 fantasy points.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you which it's going to be tonight.
That's triple doubled this year. It had multiple 7 assist games. So like, yeah, very wild. The most recent update that I'm looking at for ownership has Whitmore up over 40% now, the highest rostered player on the slate as it stands. So probably, again, not too shocking, just knowing that, there's got to be at the very least 20 plus minutes if he doesn't end up starting and playing more.
I was going to say that's shocking to me because I don't think he starts. And that feels like he's starting projection to me.
Yeah, it could. I mean, listen, the lineup could come out and it could just flip. Champagne's at 36%. So it could just be currently waiting on whichever one is in the lineup. And, they go in that direction. But obviously,
to be clear, if we're talking about tournaments, Whitmore's the better play, whether he starts or not, in my opinion.
Yeah, and listen, we saw this happen last night with Tomlin. Once the Cavs announced their lineup, people went off Tomlin. I had him in like 17%. If everybody thinks Whitmore's the guy and then it's not, you could just get less ownership on him and you just stay where you're at.
Me too, buddy. But I also had 80% Derek Queen or so. that did not work out.
Yeah, so did I. That's fine. They decided that they wanted to bench him. Yves Missi went out there and rocked. So, any other power forwards? Not that there's much else to talk about here, but I mean, would they dust off Will Riley for us? Listen, you drafted him. Maybe give him some minutes. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think you just take a shot on which you just guess on the Philly guys and hope to get them right.
All right, let's go to center. Zubac is 79, Okongwu 72, Sarr 72. Those are your top 3 spend ups. Drummond's where the ownership is, and then Porzingis has had coming off of a really good game last time out for him. How are you handling the top half here?
Yeah, it was unbelievable to me when I was going through centers today, and I saw what Zubac, Porzingis, and Drummond did in their last game. All 3 of them went absolutely nuclear. Zubac put up 33 and 18. Drummond put up 14 and 24.
24 rebounds. Yeah.
Like, it's just, that's the type of ceiling when we're talking about centers who play 30 plus minutes. Mm-hmm. I think that's the most interesting conversation is how is Porzingis going to play low 30s minutes again? Because that changes the conversation a little bit. I think Drummond is the safest, like, cash type play for sure. But if we're trying to find a pivot at lower ownership, if Porzingis is going to play 32, 33 minutes, I think he can absolutely match Drummond again.
Yeah.
That's a really, especially in this matchup against Washington. I just talked about how good of a matchup that was. So
yeah, they just ruled out Bagley as well, Washington. So
they're thinner in the front court.
Even thinner in the front, exactly. Vukcevic is their backup guy there. We talk about Porzingis all the time. I didn't think they were going to let him go north of 30 this year. I thought they were just going to hold him until playoffs and keep him as healthy as they can. But we obviously know in the right matchup, and the Pelicans matchup is really no much worse than the Wizards. So, I could see Porzingis having himself a day. I really don't think you could probably go wrong with any of these guys from Drummond up. I think they all have. I think Sarr has a really good ceiling as well. You take George off the floor. Another guy that's just going to benefit from taking shots. Yeah, he's going to have to deal with some Porzingis or Okongwu defense or Jalen Johnson defensively at times, but the volume should definitely still be there. He's going to be the lowest owned of that group. So, I mean, in tournaments, you want to take a shot. Drummond is currently the highest rostered of the position, but, again, we'll kind of see how it all fleshes out there. And then after that, I mean, is there a value play that you like? Do you think, Jackson Hayes without Ayton is worthy of a dart throw today?
Hayes is okay. He's a little too low per minute. I'm not sure if he's going to start. And even if he does start, I'm not sure he's going to play 28 minutes. So I'm lukewarm on Hayes at best. If he's starting, I think it's fine to take some shots there. Mm-hmm. Honestly, you mentioned a name that I think is super interesting today. Vukcevic. Starts and plays 17 minutes and does nothing. Mm-hmm. The next game comes off the bench and plays 20 minutes and scores 33 fantasy points.
Yeah, he gave you the Mamu. The other day, Mamu comes with the best because 15 and 8. You're like, where was that?
Yeah,
where was that? We needed that the other day.
Yep.
Greg asked about Middleton. Didn't really mention him, but obviously starting has the ability to play 25, 30 minutes tonight. I mean, I don't know if this dude's just washed or what at this point with the knees over the last couple of years, but the minutes will be there for him. Is there any value at $4,400 for you?
He's been so bad.
So bad.
I don't know what the ceiling is there. Like, play one of the Philly guys or play Cam Whitmore. Like, I can't do it with Middleton. I don't see a way to 30 fantasy points, and that's what I need at 4,400.
Reeves or Wagner?
Probably Reeves there, honestly.
Sure. Guys, I do appreciate it. We'll get a lineup example built right here, but we do have over 350 of you, 360 actually, currently watching the show. If you want to do us a favor, just hit that like button. Our goal is to get 100 likes per show. And there's over 300 of you in here, so it should be easy enough just to hit that like button here for us. You can hit the subscribe button. We do live shows every day, 5 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday, breaking down the DraftKings main slate. We do preview shows that we release around 10 or 11 o'clock at night, previewing the next day as well. So never short of NBA content. We do NFL live streams throughout the week. So if you're new to Fantasy Alarm, welcome. We have plenty of shows on our YouTube channel for you guys to get whatever content you need out of it. If you want to join the Fantasy Alarm family right now, we got a great deal going on. It's 50% off that first month. FantasyAlarm.com/YouTube, promo code YT50. One of you guys signed up with that yesterday. Welcome to the family if you're watching that right now. You get access to our DFS Playbook, which Keith wrote up today, our lineup generator, our ownership numbers, all of our tools for all sports, not just NBA. It's NFL. Get all of our Thanksgiving content for Thursday's Thanksgiving football slate out for you guys, ready to go. NHL, MMA, PGA, all the DFS stuff, all the seasonal draft guides, cheat sheets, it's all included. You get that first month for 50% off with promo code YT50 when you go to fantasyslam.com/YouTube. Keith is yappy. Who do I play today? Listen. Yeah, let's go. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, Steve. We'll figure it out. Smash the like button, says Bowl Cash. Appreciate that.
That's another one of my guys that I go way back with. Yappy is his screen name from another life. So I know who that is. What's up, Yappy? Good to see you, man. Jump in the Fantasy Alarm Discord. We'll chop it up.
Jeffrey had a bold take last night that Murray was going to score 50 actual, and Grande said if he did, he would give him a free Fantasy Alarm subscription. Murray fell just short of that. His bold take tonight at Zubac goes 30 of 20. I'll still put that subscription on Grande if you hit, and we'll go from there. All right, we've talked enough about Jalen Johnson. Obviously, we're going Cam Whitmore here. Can't spell the names correctly. There we go. McCain probably, right? Just jamming in all the value here.
Yep.
So that's $6,500. Where are the next plugs for us?
Center's an important decision. I think Drummond is a very safe, very good, very high ceiling play. It's hard to go wrong there. I like Porzingis a ton too, if we can fit them both.
That's doable here. Let's see. Zinger also center. Yeah,
I guess
100. So we can get Suggs in at point guard.
Yes, I like that.
Feels like that's where we want to go there. And then we got 63.50 for a guard and a forward. Guys, as you've seen, there's plenty of good plays in this range that we've talked about. You might even punt. Edwards is 44.
If it depends on how you feel about Sixers value, but I think getting to Maxey is really easy now. And it wasn't that way earlier in the day, but we have only used McCain of that Sixers value. Yeah. And I think you can play 2 or 3 of those guys together today with no George, no Embiid, no Edgecombe. Like one of those guys for sure has to do something, and more than likely 2 or 3 of them can
you move off Suggs, go to Maxey. You still have 4,600 to play. And again, as we've talked about, there's infinite value here on this slate. So guys, a couple different ways to go about it. If you're new to the show, we put the full lineup in our Discord. The link to the Discord is in the description of the YouTube show. You can also go to fantasyalarm.com, create a free account. In your My Profile section, there's a connect button that will connect you to our Discord. We have our free NBA channel. We also have our premium NBA channel, which is part of that All-Pro package that you guys can join. And myself, Keith, Grande, the whole team are in there talking shop all day, getting you guys ready for tonight's NBA slate. We do appreciate all the support. Josh says Grimes is going to nuke. We're like, listen, all of Philly is in play today against Orlando. Washington value is going to be super interesting when that starting lineup comes out, and you can go super stars and scrubby tonight when it comes to your lineups. Good luck, everybody. Again, we'll be back tonight with a preview show for Wednesday's slate. We'll see you then.